let's just throw out a few quick things about Thursday's dominant win over Washington. Another pick six, absolute beatdown. All the numbers at home. Dak Prescott's numbers as well. Cowboys roll the Commanders.
The highest, as you know, I always love to lean on PFF and their evaluations. The highest PFF grade in Dak's career. He was fantastic. He was incredible. Yep, my BFF grade had him 98, so I was a little higher. But we were basically in sync, me and PFF on this one. No, this was, it's funny, when you watch this game, the first three quarters, I felt like it was still similar to kind of the Carolina game, where it was like, you know, they should be up by more. This shouldn't be as close as it is. It shouldn't be a 20-10 game. This was the second time all year that the Cowboys hadn't scored in the third quarter. You got to remember, they put up 45 points and they didn't even score in the third quarter of this game because it was just that onslaught, that 25-point fourth quarter. And yeah, the Deron Bland thing was huge, which before that point, he did not have a great game.
I told you this stuff on Saturday. I was like, I'm going to give you a couple of opposite thoughts. I was watching this at a buddy's house, you know, half drunk. But then I woke up and rewatched it half drunk. No, I was sober. I was sober and I was like, this is a really misleading score. Mm-hmm. This is another one of those games and blowout wins that doesn't affect my opinion on the Cowboys dramatically one way or the other. Although everyone was probably favored towards the better. 20-10 after 3. Dak, you know, had missed like some 3 or 4 throws early on. It's just the protection they had against Washington. With this offensive line and the Commanders trading other pass rushers, he had all day. It was just going to be a matter of time. And I'm like you, I told you this at dinner the other night, I was like, Deron Bland was getting picked on. Like, that seemed like part of their game plan to throw at Deron Bland. And then he finally got the beaten and battered Sam Howell late. But 20-10 after 3, Dak missing some throws, Deron Bland getting picked on, misleading final score.
Yes, but I will say, even with Dak missing some throws early, there were about 3 or 4 throws in this game that were some of his better throws of the season. And I think it's just because he has complete confidence in what he was doing. So he was taking a lot of shots, and some of them he missed, and some of them he was dead on with. I think when you talk to people at the Cowboys and you say, you just pull them off to the side and you were to say, hey, just shoot me straight away from a camera or away from a recorder. What is it that's different about the offense right now? Like, what's clicked for Dak specifically? I think universally the thing you're hearing right now is people saying the way he's attacking the seam, the way he's willing to attack the middle of the field and take those shots and take those chances, and the confidence he's throwing that with is what makes the offense so dangerous right now. And you're seeing that seam throw that he hits the tight ends on consistently right now is one of the more dangerous plays they have in their arsenal, because teams, it doesn't matter how well you defend it, they're able to connect on that.
And of course, he connected with Kevontae Turpin. The DC media was not thrilled with this. It's not like they were that upset. They were pretty depressed that the Cowboys are blowing out DC, and they had these turkeys planted in the Salvation Army buckets, and Dak was like, no, let's wait for one more. Let's wait for the next touchdown in order to do that. Hits it with Turpin. They all go and celebrate. Dak on the turkey leg idea.
Team effort, team idea. And yeah, we talked about it. It was probably a 2-3 day long process of, whether it be a 15 yards, whether coach would accept it. And I'll tell you, I actually go talk to coach before every game, and sure enough, I called him as he was talking to Jerry, and so I mentioned it, and of course Jerry liked it. So yeah, at that point my direction was just make sure we're up and the game was in hand.
What's more disrespectful, that they plotted out this idea, or that Jerry calls the Jimmy presser in Carolina during kickoff, like at another team's stadium, and then just sitting there? I heard Ferguson initially came up with this idea, and then you have Dak Prescott. This is when you go and ask your parents for something in front of your grandparents. Mm-hmm. And the grandparents are going to be like, oh, yeah, good idea. McCarthy's not going to say no in front of Jerry. And Jerry say, oh, yeah, that'll get a lot of eyes. That'll get a lot of attention. And Dak's like, thank you. See ya. Back to the huddle.
Yeah, do you think Dak, when he went over there, he's like, just think about all the good it would do for the Salvation Army and the attention it would bring. Yeah. Like you find the little angle that you can take on it. Yeah, this was
and also, how in the hell was no pen? I was waiting for a penalty, a flag to be thrown. You can't have props. And Dak was serious about that leg. I mean, he wasn't just taking one bite. He was picking that thing apart, sharing it with teammates. He wanted that turkey leg. on the sideline the entire time.
Because it's a dream of his. It was a dream to do the turkey leg, and when he won the MVP on Thanksgiving before, they weren't doing turkey legs that day. Why? And so because I think it was like a COVID thing or something like that. And so they didn't do it. And so he told Tracy Wolfson during the week, he was like, that is one of the bucket list items for me is I want to eat the Thanksgiving Day turkey. So he tried to create it on his own. Shout out to morning show listeners Juan and Brent Reeves over at Smokey John's Barbecue. They're the ones who provided the turkey legs. That's the State Fair turkey leg. And so I saw they were up there saying, yeah, those were our Smokey John's turkey legs right there.
They cooked the State Fair ones.
Yeah, those are the kind of considered the classic ones. But yeah, Smokey John's over on Mockingbird. They're morning show listeners over there, and they provided it for the Salvation Army and Dak and them.
But the turning point in this whole game was Washington going for it on their own 23-yard line. They get stopped. It's a 4th-and-1 stop. There's a CD touchdown. The runaway and route is on. 25 points in 8:57. 25 points in 9 minutes. My other star ups, Roberto, before we get to Shaq Leonard, Osa Odigizua. Some people are trying to say he should get some Pro Bowl consideration. He had 7 pressures, 6 hurries, 5 run stops, and 1 quarterback hit, according to PFF.
He's probably the most consistent player on the defensive line at this point. Like, I mean, in terms of Micah Parsons is the best, and, DeMarcus Lawrence makes a lot of plays in the run game and everything else. Osa's not had a bad game this year. He's just been good. Even when you come out of a game where you go, man, the defense didn't play very well, you're very rarely talking about Osa wasn't part of that. He had just motor runs hot. He's disruptive. He's always making plays. He was really impressive in this game. Terrence Steele was really good in this one. The offensive line in general had a nice bounce back. It was a day of sharing the wealth because I think we were at halftime. There were already 8 different guys who had caught passes. So kind of even distribution. And as much as Mike McCarthy wanted to say a couple weeks ago, I'm not into all this fantasy football. I'm not worried about that with Brandon Cooks. Here we are. And this is 3 straight games now where Brandon Cooks has led this team in receiving yards.
Wow, man. And my major question for the first half of this season offensively, and I keep on trying to hang on to first half. We're well past it. I'm just getting football depressed. So we're like week 12. Was this part of the plan? Like, how did Brandon Cooks all of a sudden get involved? All of a sudden you're going downfield. Mike McCarthy is going to act like this was all part of the progression that was natural.
Is this coaching staff too reactionary at times to loud criticism? Because, I mean, and it's in a good way, but there was all this talk about why isn't CD getting the ball more? CD starts getting the ball more. And then it's like, why isn't Cooks getting the ball more? It's like, well, I'm not in fantasy football. All of a sudden, Brandon Cooks is the top receiving guy 3 times. Downfield shots. Well, here come the downfield shots. They do seem to hear things over there and are a little reactionary. Now, it could just be coincidence, and it could be that
common sense.
That's the thing.
You'd hope that if we're saying it on the radio, they're saying it in their meetings.
Right, and that it just appears or comes off like they hear it and they react to it, and maybe it's not that. But the Brandon Cooks one just seems... because Mike McCarthy was annoyed with those questions about Brandon Cooks.
Yes.
And so as soon as the annoyance started, then it's 3 straight games where he's the top guy. But Cooks is playing a lot better recently, which is good timing with CD, looking a little banged up the way he's played the last couple weeks and some of the issues there.
Calvin Watkins reports with Mike McCarthy saying the Cowboys have interest in Shaq Leonard. A source close to the situation says Leonard will visit the Cowboys this week. A specific date has not been finalized. Tell us what you know and what you think about this.
They are definitely interested in him, and they would like to add him. He's still a good player, so he's not...
Yeah, what happened to him?
So
injuries.
The last couple of years, he's dealt with back injuries. He's had a couple different concussions. He has... kind of, there started to be some tension there between him and the coaching staff and the front office.
Got demoted.
Yeah, which is interesting then that he was like just chilling in a suite watching the game yesterday for the Colts. That was kind of interesting that it's like, well, if you have all this tension, why would you hang around after they cut you? And it'd be similar to...
I think he got a tribute. That's what some of the headlines are saying.
It'd be similar to like when they cut Jalen Smith, if Jalen would have hung around for the next game, which would have felt thoroughly Jalen Smith, by the way, to sit in a suite and get his recognition on the stadium. But he's a good player. Shaq Leonard is still a good player. He's really close with Stephon Gilmore, apparently. He's played with Malik Hooker before, so there's some familiarity here. And he's better than any linebacker you have right now, I think. He's better than Damone Clark. Leighton Vander Esch is obviously done for the season. There's questions about whether he'll be done for his career. But I think that he's
for who? Vander Esch.
For Vander Esch, yeah. And so Leonard is a guy that I think that they would definitely have interest in, and they recognize that he would be an impact player for them and make a difference. And
has Broaddus watched him?
Yeah, Broaddus has watched him, and Broaddus has talked to people around the league, and the thought is he's not what he once was, but he's still really good. And Brian thinks that it's basically
because this was an MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, I should say, candidate. This was the automatic leading tackler in football. Now all of a sudden, just out there. I mean, he's got to be damaged goods.
I think he was and a lot of it came down to they were taking him off the field in nickel situations, and that was upsetting to him because they thought he had lost the ability in coverage and in nickel settings, and he felt differently and felt like that was offensive to him. That's where the tension really started. But it's interesting. I think he was the third linebacker taken in the 2018 draft. Or basically you had the first couple ones, Edmonds, Roquan Smith that went. But I think the Cowboys have the 3 consecutive linebackers that would have been picked if they take Leonard, because it went Vander Esch, then it was Rashawn Evans, who they recently signed, and then it would be Darius Leonard or Shaq Leonard. And so I think those 3 got picked in a row at linebacker in the draft that year. And so that would be interesting that the Cowboys have all 3 of those now. But Leonard is good.
Only 28. He's 28 years old.
Yeah, and he's good. This is year 6 for him, I think it is.
And now only 6?
2018, 19, 21, 2, 3. Yeah, it's year 6.
Now let's talk about what usually rules deals out here. Stephen Jones and the money.
Money. We asked him about it on Friday, Will Chambers and I, when he came on with GBag, and he gave us the pat answer of, we don't really discuss guys who aren't here, not going to get into that, which a lot of times I feel like is exactly what it sounds like, a negotiating tactic that kind of indicates their interest when they say, yeah, we're not going to talk about that guy at all. And so I think that the money's going to be a big thing for them. They clearly want him. Philly reportedly wants him. That might be enough to push them right there, is just the fact that Philly wants him. If this one falls through, though, if this one doesn't work out, I would just keep an eye on potentially Anthony Barr, who played with them last year, struggled, was not great, recently signed to the Vikings practice squad, was a game day elevation, but he's on the practice squad. You can go sign him right now. And so if they're looking for a veteran linebacker who knows the system and understands everything, their assignments, what they're supposed to do, Barr would make a lot of sense. So if this doesn't come through, if this falls through, I wouldn't be stunned if they got in on that.
What do you think the money is looking like for Leonard?
I wouldn't be surprised if he just signs for something through the end of the year, something, a few $100,000 the rest of the year, and then just kind of resets into the offseason. Now, does he want a multi-year deal? I guess there's a potential that. But for the rest of the year, I don't think it would cost them very much at all.
So there it is. Shaq Leonard out there and available. The Cowboys have a need. Man, this fan base is going to erupt again if he just ends up going over to Philadelphia. The Eagles get another one. And the Seahawks picked up Kelvin Joseph to the practice squad.
Man, I cannot wait.
He's going to give Seattle the defensive game plan for Dan Quinn for Cowboys Seahawks Thursday night.
Ooh, he would have had to have known the game plan and known his assignments when he was here for him to be able to do that. I can't wait for like the photo of him walking into the stadium that he posts to Instagram 10 minutes before he's inactive that says like, "Mama, I prayed for times like this," and he's got the little prayer hands. And
the gun wasn't mine.
Yeah. I cannot wait for that, boss man Gat.
What else?
It's always choose your own adventure. Would you like to start with the Eagles, or do you want to go in a different direction?
I'll leave that up to Mike, who has decided this on many occasions, and I think has done a very good job.
Let's start off with the Cowboys, because they have more points scored and more points or less points against than the Eagles.
I think that's an important factor there too, Mike, because we have started with the Eagles most of this season, and look at what their record is.
Yeah.
So has it been because we keep choosing the Eagles first?
I need to go back and see how in the world they lost to the Jets.
Inspired.
Did they not show up? Did they forfeit? Did they have a forfeit game that I don't know about? They just forfeited?
We'll see what we can figure out there. The Dallas Cowboys are the first team in NFL history to win each of their first 5 home games by 20-plus points.
Really?
How likely is it that they will win by 20-plus points again on Thursday?
When they play against the Seahawks, as we all know.
50-50.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Why not? Seahawks are horrible. I watched them on Thursday night. Did you watch any of that? It scared me about San Francisco, by the way. That scares me about them, but also watching Seattle, I'm like, oh, man, this should be another. I'm going to predict right now 38-17, 21-point victory for the Cowboys. So they do it. So now it's 100%.
You know, somebody on the
How that works?
somebody on the Twitch earlier was like, when Steven was talking, was like 20-10 is not close. But I did feel like the Cowboys hadn't opened the can the way that they typically should have. But Kevin, you pointed out third quarter is not necessarily their
Not
their
good
place.
in the third quarter.
But whenever the fourth quarter hit, they were like, "Hey, all right, now let's let it loose." And they did. They found the ways to, once Washington thought they were going to shell up a little bit, they said we can take advantage of some stuff deep now.
You know what they say? Don't think, meat.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see this. I see the next few teams in the next few weeks being close to the Cowboys. And so I think that there are going to be some closer games along the way. I do think Thursday night might be one of those. But if Geno Smith's shoulder's still bugging him, the Cowboys could probably really take advantage of that.
He said it definitely didn't get any worse, and the time might have allowed it to get a little bit better.
Okay, whatever.
You don't believe?
I don't know, man. Like, if it didn't get any worse, then that's fine. I guess after the game, it wasn't that great going into it. I get you.
All right. So for the Cowboys, they've scored 6 defensive touchdowns this season, with Deron Bland obviously getting the vast majority of them. That ties the 2021 Cowboys for the most defensive touchdowns in a season in franchise history. Do you have any doubt they will break that record?
They should, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I forgot. They're playing Josh Howell, and that dude's going to throw 3 picks in that game.
Yeah, first play of this game, Kevin.
They get to play Washington. We've only played Washington once, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Sam Howell,
Oh, yeah, dude.
he'll poop his pants again and throw it to us.
For real.
And
Get pressure, get touchdowns.
Dak Prescott on Thursday threw for 331 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's his 10th career game with 4+ passing touchdowns. Tied with Romo for the most in franchise history in a career. Will he break that record this season? He already has 10 for his career. Will he get one more 4+ passing touchdown game?
Yes. I think he might have to do it against Miami. I think they're going to have to score. I don't think that the Miami game is going to be a 10-9 football game. I think it's going to be one of those where it's a track meet and they have to score a bunch of points. So yes, Kevin, I think that's the one. That's when they'll do it. I just predicted that. There you go.
Yes, but Corey's wrong.
Detroit.
He's doing it Thursday night. Yeah, you know what? Detroit, too. Hell, he's going to blow past this record.
4 touchdown passes in a game is a lot.
Uh-huh. But you saying Dak can't do it? What are you trying to do right now?
What's the record for most 4 touchdown pass games in a season, then / career?
I will have to get back to you in the history of football.
Uh-huh.
I will have to get back to you.
Who would you guess
on that.
did it? Would you guess Peyton Manning?
Yeah, Peyton Manning makes a lot of sense.
Marino.
Maybe Dan Marino. Patrick Mahomes will probably
Would
break
Favre
that
make
record.
sense?
Well, yeah, Favre makes sense too.
All right, those are our 3 guesses.
Okay.
Drew Brees.
I'll get back to you
Brady.
on that. All right.
Aaron Rodgers isn't a bad guess.
You want to go Giants, Commanders,
Oh, my God.
or
Let's just
Eagles?
quit them. Is there other teams to talk about besides those 2?
Hold on.
They are no longer in the NFC
Hold on.
East.
Are we talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes of the NFL?
Let's just do Gridiron Gravy 2.0.
We need to play cut number 14 so you can hear the exciting conclusion of the Giants-Patriots game. Now, the Giants are up 10-7. The Patriots have a 35-yard field goal to tie this game. It played out like this.
Will attempt to tie the game. Rollins' kick is no good. Wide to the left.
And that's how the Giants were victorious 10-7. Good for them. You guys done with the Giants? Sounds
Yes, totally.
Okay.
We're done with the Commandos, too, but we got to talk about them.
Ooh, I got to tell you a commander stat that's going to blow your mind. Sam Howell has 3,500 yards passing through 13 games.
Mike did that, and Mike likes it earlier.
Oh, really? Were my stats, like, not up to date?
What did you?
Oh, you're giving last year's game
Yes.
too, because I'm like, wait, he only had 12 games played this year.
Through 13 games in his history, he joins a club that includes Patrick Mahomes,
Oh my God,
Andrew Luck.
he's ruined this club.
Oh, let me know if you think that at the end. Justin Herbert, Cam Newton, and Mark Bulger as the only quarterback. Do you remember Mark Bulger?
I
The
do.
bulge.
That's what they called him.
Yep.
Is
The
that-
big bulge.
Is that what they called him?
Do you
He
know?
played for the Rams.
Yeah.
Was he the one that got hurt and then Kurt Warner took over?
I thought that was Trent Green.
You're right.
But yeah, Bulger.
The bulge came later.
He was the one that had his name was spelled with a C instead of a K. Mark, M-A-R.
It is with a C.
I always
That
hated
is-
that.
that is
It's
correct.
weird. I don't hate you, Marks out there that have your name spelled that
I think
way.
that's how. I think if you're Canadian, you do it that way.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
There's no K in Canada.
So what you're saying is that
Sure,
that
that's
group
true.
right there that predicts nothing. It really does. The top two names you threw out there, wow, and then
Yeah.
everything else just fell apart after that.
Yeah.
So Sam Howell, coin flip. We'll see, 50-50 on his future.
He has these moments where you're like, ooh, that was good.
Yes,
Then you put together all the moments, you go, ooh, he's ooh.
and I don't know
He's
how
not
much
horrible. It's just like he's just there. Like I get that they're going to have to roll with him for the next 2 to 3 years, but yuck.
I don't know how
like-
much of it is the fact that the Washington Commanders are bad. Like they're
Yeah.
a bad team. He has good receivers. They're a bad team though.
For the Philadelphia Eagles, I thought this was really interesting. This is not who I would have guessed. Is Brandon Graham, with the game yesterday, has now played more games for the Eagles in the regular season than any player in history.
Wow, he's been there longer than Fletcher Cox and him seem to be there the long
So it's interesting that you brought that up. 3 of the top 5 are active on the team right now. Fletcher Cox at 182, Jason Kelsey at 186, and Brandon Graham at 189. So you're seeing a golden age of longevity for the Eagles, which is probably why they've been pretty darn good for quite a while.
Yeah, no, that's a huge. I mean, what does Jerry always tell us? Best availability is
Availability.
availability. Did I just say that twice? Best ability. Is
I
availability.
somewhat agree with that. Man, I only went on the injured list one time in my whole 13-year career, 1999 in AA. Nobody cared about my availability in the
But-
major leagues.
But
You're ready to go.
It's
how
like
productive-
they hated I was available.
But
They're
how-
like, can you get hurt, please?
How productive was Jacob DeGrom this year?
He was effective in that 1 month.
But then
Then the rest of the month, so that availability first, then the rest of the talent. Comes
Talent
along.
first.
Yeah, talent.
I mean, our buddy Jesse Hawley was available for the Cowboys. They didn't seem to want to put him at wide receiver much.
golly, Mike.
Well, I'm just giving an example. Guess what? We don't care if the 5th wide receiver is available.
Okay, but sometimes
what?
your examples just go out of their
Well,
way to
what
hurt
about
people's
Derek?
I like
feelings.
Jesse.
Derek-
Jesse knows.
Derek was about to get all the great opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Because of the talent. Then availability became an issue.
Yeah. I mean, I can give other people's names
Yeah.
that we don't know. I don't know who Spencer. I don't know Spencer Howard. I know who he is. But like, I don't remember him getting hurt after trading for him from Philadelphia. But we didn't care how available he was.
True.
Next time Jerry says that, I want you to start
Yeah,
rattling off
ask him.
really terrible
All right.
players that were
Were you
always
upset
ready
like
to go.
David LaFleur was who cares if he's available? He stinks. Or what about those defensive tackles we've drafted recently that have barely played? Who cares if oh no, Mozzie Smith, the best available. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Like,
He's healthy a
Oh
lot.
no, Mozzie Smith is going to miss this Thursday, which I don't think he is. But who cares?
I do, Mike.
Why?
Well, I guess Derek Lively.
Why? Gosh.
Because I want him out there. Although Jonathan Hankins had a 2-sack game, so
For Jalen Hurts, he has now won 14 straight games against teams with a winning record.
Dang.
That's
because
the
he's available.
Cowboys
Because
have
he's available
beaten
for those
nobody
games. Yeah.
with a winning
They
record
just
this year.
win, man. They just win every freaking game.
Yeah,
Does
it's
that
weird.
change your opinion about the San Francisco game?
Coming up,
Yeah.
I think San Francisco's better. But once again, it goes to Philadelphia looks very beatable, but they can't be beat.
And that was the example I was going to use with you in wrestling is that was why people like Ric Flair so much. Every time you watched him, you're
Yeah.
like, I know we can beat him. And then you never would for the title. And you're like, dang
Dang it!
Yeah, he'd always walk out there. I'll tell you what, back in the 80s, there's a lot of disqualifications.
Yeah, you gotta keep it going, get them ready for the return match and everything like that. But yeah, that's why the Philadelphia Eagles feel like, is anyone's like, oh, they're not that great. They're 10-1. And Jalen Hurts has won 14 games in a row against teams with a winning record. They're pretty damn good. I don't care how they win these games. They win these games.
Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense to me on a lot of different scales. It
And they
really
lost to
does
the
not.
Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets!
Yeah, that part I still can't really wrap my head around. And then my other question, we talked about this. Do you think the division is over? Are the Cowboys penciled in at number 5?
Yes. I hate it, right? I mean, because let's just, I know, Corey, I'll throw it to you. San Francisco's favored by 3. Let's just say San Francisco beats Philadelphia. Let's say Dallas beats Philadelphia. That gives them 3 losses. But then their last 3 games are the Giants, the Panthers, and the Giants. I don't know. So the Cowboys have to win out. The Cowboys have to win out to even have a chance.
Yes.
And
even then,
you lose. If they lose to San Francisco and Dallas wins out, Philadelphia is still the division champ because they lost to the Jets and you lost to the Cardinals.
Oh, hey, but the Eagles still have the Cardinals and the Seahawks to square off with.
Cardinals could really help us out.
I will say this, the back part of their
Cardinals
schedule
aren't horrible anymore because of Kyler Murray, but they're still bad.
The back part of their schedule does 0 favors for the Cowboys. It really doesn't. Aside from this Niners game and the Cowboys, but
you have to believe the Cowboys are going to win out. And how many are we on a 4-game winning streak?
3.
Still 3.
Okay, you're on a 3-game winning streak, and you have 6 games left.
Yep.
So you have to win your last 9 games to have a possibility of winning the division.
Look, I will tell you this. Even if you didn't get the number 1 seed, if you close out with 9 straight wins and you're 14-3, I think I'm going to feel like this time's different.
I am also fascinated. I'm very interested to see
if
how
you win 14 games, they should change the rule. Like, hey, you don't have to go to Atlanta.
I'm very interested to see how the Cowboys play that game against Washington to close the season if there's a chance, like if there's a chance, will they go all out, or will they say, you know what, it's probably better for us just to do the best we can? And
you know what, to your point, I bet that Washington game means nothing.
Yeah, and that's what kind of stinks. But maybe, Kevin, an inspired Carolina Panthers team, after losing their coach, goes on a run or wins one more game, and it's against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Maybe.
We literally just saw them play.
Maybe that could happen.
Look, man, I've watched a movie once called Angels in the Outfield, and this kid said anything can happen, and I will always buy into that.
As long as fiction happens.
Uh-huh.
And that means not real.
Very good.
Which is weird because nonfiction sounds,
I know.
Just say real and not real.
Yeah.
We're the K&C Masterpiece.
I think we should go to every library and change all the signs. Real, not real.
Can we just call...
When was the last time you went to a library?
Years ago.
This summer?
My wife goes all the time to the Dallas Library.
Can we just call the libraries, the organization, and be like, can we change this?
Yeah, let's call it Barnes
I think
and
you
Noble.
should. I think the library gave up when they're like, now carrying DVDs. I just feel like...
Hey, that's a library of DVDs. But that's a good point.
Had a few days to kind of pour over this tape and stuff, so I'm really glad I got to take care of it. So we'll talk about it. I feel like that you're... I don't know what was said or what was done. I would love for somebody to tell me from the Cowboys when, after that 49ers game, what was said by the quarterback or what was said by the receiver or what was said by the coordinator to the head coach or maybe a coach to another coach. Something changed with this team when it came to, we like to talk about the motion stuff, which is great and fine. I always like the combinations of how the routes are run. And and the one thing that I never felt like was done well enough was the combinations when it came to trying to get receivers open.
Yes.
And I feel like that they're on to something here. And there's a few plays here I want to point out where I felt like that they creatively came up with an idea. They said, okay, if we try this is going to get our guy open. or this is going to give Dak an easier throw.
Do you feel like you're seeing more of them throwing to guys running towards the end zone too?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because I noticed that.
Yeah. The ball is, instead of going horizontal, it's going
vertical.
more vertical.
Yeah.
And you could, if you're one of these guys and gals that believes in next gen stats or those metrics and things, I always say that. Some people don't believe in it, some people do. But Dak Prescott is on fire when it comes to throwing the vertical pass and the number of touchdowns he has on the vertical pass.
Yeah, he sure is.
And so but the thing that I've noticed even more was, like I say, these route combinations in order to get somebody open. And I'll start with this one, the pass to Ferguson. By the way, I can't wait to ask. I got a question for Zach Martin about this Ferguson play. The one that Ferguson caught for
when they were in the basically shadow of their own end zone.
35,
that seam throw,
35 yards.
He couldn't have handed it to Ferguson any better. It was a gorgeous throw by Dak.
I have a question for Zach that I can't wait to ask him about it. So tune in for that at 5:00 today, and I'll see if I can make him laugh with my question. But they go empty on this. When we go empty formation, it's no backs. 3 receivers. So now they got 3 receivers and Ferguson all on one side of the field, like in a bunch, almost in a bunch formation. So you've got 3 wide receivers and a tight end.
Yeah.
So you got four possible receivers of the football standing right there. So you're thinking like, wow, that seems like a little much, But what happens is Ferguson, when he goes vertical, the safety gets held because of Turpin. And Turpin, this is where these routes work. And you're like, okay, how are we going to complete this? It's a 2-deep look. How are we going to complete this ball? We got to get this safety right here on the hash not to move, because the way that Ferguson's route is. So all of a sudden, you got Turpin runs the route where he's going up the field and then breaks outside. Now, Percy Butler, the safety, is committed to, there's just that 1 or 2 steps that he takes that direction to the out that gives Ferguson even more space to get the ball to let Dak fit that in there. So Butler's got no choice but to stay with Turpin because he has to honor the out. But it was just a perfect pass. Now, I will say this about this pass. According to Next Gen Stats, there was only a 36% chance of Dak completing that pass. And he couldn't have put it in a better spot.
Right over the linebacker. Oh,
it was one of the most difficult passes he threw in that football game. But it was a lot because of Dak's accuracy, the route by Ferguson, but even more importantly, what Turpin was able to do to keep the safety in check.
I love the team trusts Dak and Dak trusts himself to make that throw.
Oh, no question. No question. How about this for a little creativity? The 3rd and 6 running play, the flip to Pollard. Okay? This is I love what they did here because they go tight trips this time. So now, once again, it's 3 receivers to the right side, all near the tackle, right next to Steele. And so with Lamb as the tight slot, they put him in motion going outside.
Okay. Yeah.
They put him going away instead of going back inside. They take him in to go him outside. So what happens is he now becomes the lead blocker. And so he's able to gets the edge, and then you get Cooks and Ferguson double team Barton, the linebacker. And so now you've got that, and then you get Steele to pull inside, and he kicks the nickel out. So now you've got 2 inside sealed, you got 1 kicked and a second kicked, and on 3rd and 6, you gain 14 yards. But here's the creativity part of it. Bringing Lamb in motion away to let him have a running start to be able to widen that corner and then seal him off with a block. Ball goes right inside there. Beautiful play, beautiful design. The screen pass that they throw for the touchdown.
Oh, the Rico touchdown.
This is another pretty well-designed play and executed. The key block on this play is by Zach Martin because he's going to kick the linebacker Hudson to the outside. Dowdle couldn't have timed this thing any more perfect than he did. The way that he checked and then slides out, outside. That allows Ferguson and Broaddus to get blocks. It gives Dowdle that path right to the end zone 15-yard touchdown right there. Beautiful play, beautiful design. They finally create a play or a screen pass in the red zone that ends up in the end zone. The Turpin vertical touchdown, the one that went for 34 yards. Here's another one. Bunch formation. We're seeing a lot of this. The bunch formation, hard to double receivers when they're in bunch formation.
Used to be begging for bunch formations.
Yeah, tight receivers all together. Ferguson, Cooks, and Turpin are all lined up to the right side of Prescott in this thing. At the snap, Cooks and Ferguson both run out routes. They both go up and run to the out. What happens? The defense goes with them. The secondary stretches with them. Now, the Commanders are trying to show Prescott that they're going to blitz, but they back out. Curl, the safety, he's responsible for Turpin. Well, Turpin's just running a 40-yard dash.
Bye-bye.
Because there's Curls up on the line of scrimmage, and Jack Del Rio is trying to drop him into coverage on Turpin, who's running that 40-yard dash.
He can't keep up.
He can't keep up with that.
No chance.
So Prescott sees middle of field open. He sees, okay, what happens? The out by Ferguson, the out by Cooks. All of a sudden, the defense stretches, and there's the vertical route up the seam right there for the easy touchdown. So that kind of design, when you get the bunch, you run outs, you create space, you get the touchdown, like I said. Great job by Prescott. Put the ball right between the two defenders, right there, right up the field, and then they get the touchdown. Okay, the 2-point play. This is a play where we've seen maybe Dak Prescott throw an interception here before. I think he wants to go inside to Ferguson. They run a pick where Cooks and Ferguson cross in the middle, but it gets covered. Give Lamb a ton of credit for not quitting on the route and Prescott taking the chance on the throw. Lamb did a great job of selling what he thought he was going to break to the outside, then exploded to the inside. He completely loses St. Juice in coverage right there. Prescott puts the ball between 3 defenders for the 2 points right there. There you go. Pick plays. They try and run it. They try and get Ferguson free. It doesn't work. Prescott has the presence of mind. He's going to hold the ball. He waits. He steps up in the pocket. Lamb breaking all the way across, and then throws it in between all the defenders.
That's good patience. It was
Great pressure.
It was the Schoonmaker pick play that went wrong against Philadelphia that cost them.
There you go. There you go. But we've seen a pick play go the wrong when it was Gallup and Ferguson. So now in the games you're starting to see Cooks, and so they've said, okay, we're not going to mess around here anymore.
Okay,
we're going to put somebody else in there that we feel like could potentially get the pick rubs and the rubs that you need right there. But this offense has done some really, really, really creative things with their formations, with their motions, and then with the able to finish. They're putting a lot of stress on these secondaries to have to adjust to them the way that they're playing.